ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you today, buddy?
I am doing good. I have a lot of wrestling we need to talk about today, and that's a good thing, Nick. That's a really good thing.
It's always a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There were lots of pay-per-views, PLEs over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff to dive into. You guys know we don't typically dive match by match as far as like breaking them down. We kind of, what does it mean going forward? It's kind of our thing. And if you know our thing, man, you obviously would be, our thing is now only on YouTube, asterisk. That's right, man. TappedOutPod.com takes you straight to the YouTube page now. So absolutely sign up and TappedOutPod.com. Like the page, subscribe to the page, turn your notifications on, sign up and become a member so that way you get the show early and you get some bonus content. Like Keith had a great idea that we started time travel around yesterday, day before, whatever, where we're going to put the show notes up every week as well. It's something I used to do a while back, and I'm not really honestly sure why I stopped, but I did. Because, we talked about how like there's so much detail on these shows, especially when we're promoting these indie shows and things, and sometimes our conversation goes a little sideways. We go on sidebars, so we may not necessarily cover everything that's in the notes. We just kind of have to work through it. So this way, our paid members, whether it's on patreon.com/tappedoutpod or tappedoutpod.com on the YouTube channel, you kind of get access to that. You can see those and kind of see what our thought process. And by the way, you might see how far we went off the rails and didn't cover what we talked about. We were going
follow that syllabus to the lecture, folks. Woo.
Yeah. If you could actually, print that out or have it pulled up in front of you and listen to the show, you can go, yeah, that's not actually where you originally were heading, and, you went off track. But, look, all that being said, man, look, I want to – this is like the first week, so to put it out there, we want to thank everybody for jumping over and adapting. It's the first full week. We joked about it's only available on YouTube, sort of. So the Patreon feed has been set up to where it will automatically go to Spotify. It just automatically goes. I don't have to do anything for that. Thank you, Patreon and Spotify. So somebody said, so kind of are you exclusive to Spotify? I was like, no. Maybe. Kind of, sort of. It's the only one we actually automatically distribute to. Other than YouTube Music, it does automatically feed to there as well. But, again, should I share that video? I did a video that's on our Patreon page.
You might ought to
showing to me. Well, here's the problem. You got to go to Patreon to get it anyway. So I'm like, you go to the Patreon page, you watch it, and then it's just going to show you how do you add that feed to your Apple podcast. It's not that complicated.
Why do you share it? You need to, go to Patreon and look at the whole thing, folks. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So again, you can sign up for free because that's the other thing. People are like, oh, what? You can be a free Patreon member? Yes, you can. We would encourage you to be a member that pays, so you get the show early and the extra stuff. But hey, if you just want the free feed for your, Apple podcasting, it's available there. So go over there, sign up, and then you will get a link. They'll actually send you an RSS link that'll actually feed straight to your phone. So can't get much easier than that. Absolutely. Look, without further ado, Myron, let's dive right in. WWE, the Big Bash in Berlin pay-per-view. I always try to give you a minute just to kind of like, okay, not diving into the matches, but just overall, like, what did you think and what was your takeaway from the pay-per-view?
I had 3 big takeaways. They counted to 3 in German. The crowd did, which was pretty cool. They chanted "Holy shit" in English. Okay, I noticed that. I also noted that Gunther and Randy sweated. Like, I haven't seen a main event sweat like that in a long time. But then again, they were saying they don't have air conditioner in Europe.
Yeah,
is that in the big buildings? Is that true?
It could be. Hell, I mean,
Lord, everything about that show was hot. Everything from the wrestling to the environment, apparently
so. Were you shocked? It was funny because Eric and Conrad were talking about it going into the weekend, and Conrad was like, I don't know, man, if it was me, I'd lead with Cody and Kevin, and I would main event Gunther and Randy, and Eric was like, I don't know. But, Eric openly admits he doesn't watch it enough, like in live week by week by week to kind of say what he would do. And they nailed it. Like, what did you think of that decision? Like, Cody's
I didn't understand why, but I liked it because the emotions of that Cody and Kevin match were just amazing.
So I think the logic, and see if you follow me here, is you gotta you're putting Gunther. I get it, he's a heel, but he's kind of the hometown guy, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna put him in the main event to send them home at the end of, like, whether they're cheering and booing him, they love him because he's a hometown guy. That's why he's in the main. Now, what's the old saying? If you're not last in the main event slot, whatever you want to call it, why not just be the first match and get the crowd fired up hot and
Yeah.
And the beauty of having the two champions is you do kind of have that flexibility.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked Cody and Kevin Owens just starting the night off hot and getting everybody invested. So that was kind of cool in my take.
I was concerned about the amount of emotion and storytelling they had in this match being the first match because it was hot. It was, you're my friend. I don't want to take out your injured knee. You're my friend. I don't want to powerbomb you. Yell at Barrett at the commentary desk. There's so much story, and it was so much emotion. And then they went that in the first match. I was worried the crowd was going to be let down, but it was one of those hot European crowds, man. It worked. It worked. Those people love it.
One of the things that Eric really put over on his podcast, the live that they did right after, was the slower paced matches that let you kind of get emotionally invested versus boom, 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 bippity boppity boom, back to back to back. And I think they kind of did that. Like you said, they started off with the Cody thing. So my question, I guess, we're not going to hit match by match again, and we talk about that. So I wanted to ask you, like, so what's next for Cody now, right? Like Solo, they did a promo, video or whatever. Obviously SmackDown hasn't aired yet. It's like, okay, so if Solo's next, I started doing some rough thing, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, well, we're getting closer to War Games at Survivor Series. If we're going to do a Bloodline War Games, kind of we get September, October, end of November. Like, okay, there's time. So don't panic. There's time. So it's like, do we roll with something like at Bad Blood, we get Solo versus Cody. Roman has to help again. Then we slowly build. Do we get Roman Solo at Crown Jewel at the beginning of November? Which, again, there's interference leading to eventually they have to build to the War Games, at Survivor Series. Like, there's time to get there, but on the other hand, we kind of need to start getting there, I think is my concern, right?
Yes. We're going to get a Hell in a Cell at the one here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Bad Blood. I don't know how or what they're going to do. We're going to get a Hell in a Cell.
I think I know which match it is now. I figured it out.
We've got Jey Uso paused into that whole Rhea Ripley storyline. I believe that's until we figure out how to get Jimmy. Is Jimmy healed? We got to get Jimmy back somehow to be able to get your whole Bloodline storyline put back together. So we're figuring stuff out. We're getting it all put together. There's going to have to be a massive War Games match in here somewhere. There's going to have to be a storyline match. But they're doing this thing where they're making you care about almost everything on the card, Nick. The strap match. Okay? The least interesting match on the card was the women's tag match, and then still we were sitting there waiting. Are they going to turn? And then the whole time, Alba Fire is just, that woman surprises me, or how good she is every time she gets in the ring. But Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have the best chemistry of anyone in the ring right now. Is there something you didn't like about this show?
No, there wasn't. Again, clearly I'm invested in all of them for a multitude of reasons. Here was the thing. Believe it or not, the Cody Kevin Owens match was the match I was kind of least emotionally invested in. But they did a pretty good job of dancing around it and making me care.
Well,
so
they
that was
pulled
cool.
You in. And
So,
that's what I
by
like.
the way, which was one of the reasons I liked about them leading the card off that way with that match. Because you still could have more to grow in my taste, like what I was invested in. So, like, let's go with the Punk, Drew's match here. Punk's like, hey, I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm not. Well, clearly that is not the case. And by the way, this is hands down my match where this has got to be the Hell in a Cell.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
Because Punk was ready to go for Gunther.
Right. He claimed he was going for Gunther, which again clearly now. Do I think how? Let me ask you this: how good is WWE right now for? They are doing and tappedoutpod@gmail.com if you disagree. I think they're doing a spectacular job planting seeds for things for the future right now. I mean, I could just sit here and go, like, they've already teased us. Look, we're getting Punk and Rollins at some point, right?
Yep.
We're clearly at some point. Like, Punk doesn't cut that promo if Gunther's not in his future somewhere. When is it? Don't know. We're getting things like, I am convinced, by the way, the Dominic Mysterio thing with Logan Paul on his podcast, that's a future thing. Like, that's going to be something. Have you seen just like the Twitter war going with Randy Orton and Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah.
Taking shots at each other. Like, I'm sitting here in my head going like, are we legit going to get a Machine Gun Kelly, like Randy Orton thing? Like, it's possible.
If I was Machine Gun Kelly, I'd pick somebody besides Randy Orton. Okay.
I would take Randy Orton because he's probably going to take care of him better than anybody. So that's probably
he'll take care of him. But Jesus, Randy still scares me. It still scares me.
Yeah. So I love a lot of this seed planting, and I agree with you. I think Jay is just kind of. Is he though? There was a part of me that paused and went, what if Jay doesn't want to get tangled back up in the bloodline? There's so many. Think about this. So many other members of the family they could bring in to, like, for Roman to surround himself with that he doesn't need. They don't need Jimmy and Jay back in the mix if they don't want to. Jimmy, I think, yes, probably does need it. Jay, not so much. He could go down this road with Rhea Ripley, and God knows what that'll be.
Yeah.
I mean, but But I love a lot. And so, I'm sorry, back to my Gunther point. Not only do we plant seeds ahead of time, we're calling back to things. With Sammy coming out, and they're pointing out, by the way, the only man that beats Gunther on the WWE, not NXT, but main, WWE,
Yep.
is Sammy.
Yep.
And Sammy's like, I'm going to use my Intercontinental reign to stepping stone to become a world champion. And the success they had in Sammy chasing Gunther for the Intercontinental, does that work, at the world title? Him chasing the world title.
Gunther's money. That's the highest grossing gate on a stadium show in WWE history in Berlin.
An arena show. But yeah.
Arena show, sorry.
Yeah.
An arena show. They did it in Berlin. Gunther's money. Putting him with Sammy is money. Sammy's your great underdog. Even if they didn't have belts, the storyline would work. They're doing a great job having all these great understories with no titles. When you put a title on the two of these guys, it's going to be a massive hit, and they're going to continue to do well with it. So,
yeah. So top to bottom, let me ask you this, and then we'll move on from this topic. I don't really know that nothing happened that we probably didn't predict.
Nah. Except that we thought there'd be a turn, but that's it.
With who?
With the women's tag.
Oh no, yeah, no. We called it last week. I thought they would win. I actually called that one. That was yeah, because it was time to hey, they gave those younger girls a talent, a spot to shine, and let's get them back on. But I think it was executed well. It was executed well enough that I wasn't disappointed, even though I pretty much was like, okay, par for the course. That's about what we figured was going to happen, but it was a great show. Yeah. And by the way, these crowds, they're really helping those shows.
Oh, yeah.
The reactions
cheers the whole night.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt that it's only 5 matches, and they, I actually did think some of the matches were a little long, but, I mean, they held them, so that was good enough.
Well, it's 5 matches where they take the time to bond with you and make you care about them and give you something to pay attention to. So it's like 5 little movies, basically, instead of 5 little TV shows.
And kudos, by the way. I don't know if you call Eric's praise of the pre-show, because Eric's like, I don't watch WWE Weekly. I guess it's just not in his nature. If he's busy in his life, it's just like it's not something he's cutting out time to watch unless he's doing it specifically for something for the podcast. And he was like, that pre-show was so well done. Like they literally did these packages for each match. He was like, I felt like when that PLE started, I was all in. I knew every backstory I was like, I'm in. I'm good.
And one of the great things is, too, they don't skimp that. They don't skimp on that for NXT. They put that much work into NXT packages.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. WWE has all this money, and they use it so well to promote and go on with that stuff. Eric's 100% right on that.
Right. And now, listen, I mean, where they get a lot of that money is coming from the TV now. It's, it's not – they're doing okay in the ticket market. They are, yes. But that's not – like it seems like now where a lot of that money's coming from is from television. And this is the final week. Look, how about this? We've been doing this podcast prior to the move, and now they're moving. So we would have been before and after. So we were here the whole ride through Fox.
Where were they before Fox?
It was USA.
Wow.
And so here's the thing. Like, I think I'll let you start. Like, your take on the Fox experiment. They did it. Like, would you call it a success from the WWE standpoint, not Fox?
Ratings.
We know
we're good. Ratings have been really good. They got paid for it. There was a minor problem with censorship towards the end. I would consider it to be a massive success. They continue to make more money, and then somebody else wanted to pay them more for it later. So their run was viewed positively enough that somebody wanted to buy it at a higher rate. So, yeah, I think it was a success.
I think USA's reaction to getting it was more of them losing Raw to Netflix. But on the other hand, I do think it was a success. It was cool to see it on a broadcast network versus, just cable only. However, my question would be, is that how the CW ends up with NXT?
Yeah.
Because look, we're going to go through 3 weeks here now. Like, so when we record, this Friday's episode of SmackDown's the last one on Fox, and then the following one's on USA. And for like 3 weeks, USA is like, they're in the catbird seat, right? Like, they're like, we got all 3 shows for 3 weeks. Think about that. They go into all 3 of those nights realizing potentially, and look, it's a great assumption, by the way, for 3 weeks, they're going to be the number 1 probably show on cable like 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. That's probably kind of cool for them. But I think when we've heard big things potentially, like Roman's going to be obviously on SmackDown when it moves to USA. CW goes to, when they get NXT, we've already talked about it off air. There's going to probably be main roster people there. There's going to be just lots of surprises, anything. And I think, isn't it next week? Isn't Jordan Grace coming back? I think it's next week she's coming back.
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't caught that one. That would be
don't hold me to that. I
amazing.
thought I saw that somewhere.
I don't doubt it. That's terrific. I love what NXT is doing. They've got all those NIL athletes, all those super talented people, and they've got those TNA wrestlers. They've got the people like Ethan Page they've signed from competitors. They've got all these guys they've brought down like Anderson and Gallows to help mentor these wonderful talents, Perez and Parker, in that main match it wasn't the main match, but it was one of the best matches on that, or the best match on that whole pay-per-view. It's working out great. Offside. What do you think about Testatori, Nick? What did you think?
It sounds like an actual broadcaster.
He sounds like a broadcaster. McAfee.
Let me back
McAfee
up.
syndrome.
Here's the thing. What I think they have successfully done, and probably no one's giving them credit for, the broadcast teams for Raw and SmackDown eventually are going to be two completely different things. Like if we get Cole and McAfee on a show, and because look, McAfee's coming back after football season. I don't know, right around the time Netflix gets Raw. By the way, I'm gambling. We get to slide on Netflix. We get McAfee and Cole on Raw, and the Raw team moves to SmackDown. After that, Barrett and I think. But anyway, you're gonna have wild and crazy Raw team eventually. This is my prediction. I don't know anything for sure. I think McAfee and Cole are going to be the wild, crazier team, with Cole being a professional, and then Barrett and what's his name, Joey or whatever.
Testosterone. Yeah,
testosterone. Yeah, we'll call him that. Yeah. We'll call it. They're going to be like, they're going to sound more like a pro sports broadcast, which I really love. I really liked it. I did. So, but I think that's where eventually we go, because if The Rock and John Cena and all these guys are out returning at the Netflix thing, it ain't the same if it ain't Michael Cole and Pat McAfee sitting at that desk.
No. But I really have liked Corey Graves, man. We can't just dump Corey Graves off to the side and wait.
I think at some point we probably get him back in the mix, but I've heard tale that he wants to get back in the ring. So we'll see. Who knows? I mean, hey, you never know.
More power to him. I'm excited about all these changes. I'm probably going to need a calendar to tell me where to go. Thank God my DVR, or not DVR, Jesus. My YouTube TV finds the shows for me with them switching networks. Because that whole sci-fi thing scared me at first. But YouTube TV went and just got them. Went and found all the different episodes on all the different channels and just recorded it. It was a blessing. So I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff here. I think as the channels move around and they have to do special stuff. I mean, USA was popping on the Raw ads. USA was running ads for wrestling nonstop. SmackDown, the 3 weeks of it. So they're excited about it for now. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Speaking of also being excited, I know a lot of the AEW fan base is jacked. All Out is this weekend, literally like 2 weeks after we have All In Wembley. We're back in Chicago. There was a small chance I was supposed to be there. I'm bummed out about it.
A week late.
But here's
poor
the thing.
Scheduling based on the people that book these things.
Yeah, stuff went sideways, man. Let me ask you this. Send your hate mail to Nick at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. I'm not super psyched about this card.
Send your email to Myron at dsnuts.com, because I could care less about anything on there except that street fight between Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. I'm a big fan of both talents. The rest of it, Nick, is this Fallout card from the last pay-per-view? Is that what this is?
So I think they're going to learn it. They've learned a good lesson, probably potentially out of all of this, when they originally had to move this card back a week. I think, because next year All In is in like July. It's up, so they're putting a little more of a gap between the two shows. So that'll be a plus, because look, I'm as critical of WWE when they do like, hey, we're running a show in Saudi, and then 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, it's like, dude, you can only get your PLE so close before it's a problem. Because here's my thing. You gave us Bryan Danielson for the world title. He wins it. It's a huge thing. And I'm supposed to be excited about Jack Perry versus Bryan Danielson. I'm just not. Now, if it is what it is, folks, I'm just not.
They
Mercedes,
can't put it on Danielson.
You mean on Perry?
On Perry, sorry. They can't put it on Perry.
So, Monet and Sheeta, not interested. Monet has been a flop to me at this point. You see where I'm going now.
Camille, Camille, that's the only reason to watch that.
Osprey and Pac, if you're into like move set wrestling, that's going to be a good one. So I'm not saying I'm not. I don't know that I would buy the pay-per-view to watch this match. I would watch this match. I think it's going to be really good. Strickland and Page might be one of the arguably the longest storylines they've been running. So kudos to them. We should be more interested than we probably are. But that's the matches. But top to bottom, look, I just look. I'm going to watch it. I am going to watch this card. Only for the sake of the podcast, it needs to be done. So we will see. Look, it's got to be watched. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, we got to watch it. So it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to watch it. But I just am I the only one not that interested in it? Is the question?
Okay.
TappedOutPod@gmail.com.
2 points for Myron here. Steel cage. Somebody gotta bleed,
and they will.
Okay. MJF versus Daniel Garcia. MJF can work with anybody. MJF is the best thing they have. Daniel Garcia, I have no idea who Daniel Garcia is. And apparently, Daniel Garcia is overpaid. Is that what I'm hearing, Nick? Daniel Garcia, overpaid. So Daniel and Swerve on this card, overpaid. Tell me about this.
You ready for this? That answer is nope.
And
Here's
Nick
my argument.
No.
You know why?
Why?
You're not overpaid if somebody paid you that.
Oh.
I've had this long thing about because it's a complicated answer. This is like the NFL. I always say this, and it's sports in general. People are like, he's overpaid. Why? Why is that? Why are you the person that gets to decide that? If there's an owner in the NFL, if there's a general manager, whoever makes those decisions, if it's MLB, if it's basketball, doesn't matter. If somebody paid them that, they're not overpaid because somebody thought they were worth that for whatever reasons. That's why they got paid that. Now, there is the danger. What does happen is sometimes general managers in sports, they think they're competing with somebody else, and they're not. And this, I think, is where this is relevant when it comes to the free agency and wrestling. And basically, let me ask you, because the statement that came out was the WWE felt their contracts were bad for wrestling as far as the industry goes. That's what you're kind of stemming this from, correct?
Yes. But 2 things I'm picking up. You're saying it's what the market will bear. Okay.
It's what the market dictates more than bears, yeah.
And you're saying it's based on what these people think these people are worth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Tony Khan thinks Swerve, Strickland, and Daniel Garcia are worth what he's paying them.
Absolutely.
And
he wouldn't have paid it otherwise.
He is happy with what he's getting out of them. So
hold on, pause. Or what he thinks he's going to get, like what he has planned for them.
So he wants to secure them down for what he has planned with them. If we look at an example, Nikki Cross, who just signed with WWE, they have plans with her in the Wyatt Six. They signed Punk for an extended contract. They have plans for him. They just signed Asuka to an extended contract. They have plans for her. So I get.
I'll ask you then. I play devil's advocate here. Why did you pay her? What has she really done lately?
Well, she's been
and by
hurt.
the way, she's hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but my argument is, one, we don't know what they paid her yet. We'll find out, but we don't know what they paid her yet. Because she may have taken a deal for less money. We don't know. The crazy part is AEW's never required to tell you what we paid them or what they paid them, and we're just assuming a lot of things when we get into that ballpark.
I mean, this is. We're looking at this. We're sitting here and we're looking at professional sports. Then we're flopping back and forth to wrestling. I know it's professional sport, and I keep trying to say it's real, but it's predetermined. And talent is this, and talent is that. Or they could pull these people out and do a new storyline. There are certain people that are required for the company. Could they not substitute Swerve Strickland with somebody else and go on? Are they not strong enough to swap Swerve Strickland with somebody else? WWE is in a position where there are people that are more disposable and more bookable, where you can change the booking and get different things out of them, I would think. Does it ruin the marketplace? I don't know if it does or not, because WB is just going to pay whatever they pay anyway. They've been doing this for a long time.
I think the argument would be the reason why people, and look, by the way, this has happened. This isn't something that could happen. This does happen in sports. The logic of this could be dangerous for the sport is telling you right now, I'm making some numbers up. So let's say hypothetically, because they were saying like, look, Swerve got money, not at Cena, not at Roman, not at those levels, but like that next tier guy like Rollins and whatever. So let's say he's $3 million a year, making some numbers up. If they see him at $3 million and WWE only sees him as $1 million, the reason it's damaging to the industry is because then next time a guy, I know he just signed, let it go. Next time a guy like Seth Rollins is a free agent, he goes, I'm worth a hell of a lot more than that guy. And we've heard he's got 3. So I want 4, or I want 5 per year, whatever that number is. That's where the danger becomes, is because you have a guy that people's opinions, he's not in a position, and now he becomes the measuring stick. That's like when receivers get paid, like, hey, this guy's not worth this. That he gets paid this, and then the next guy comes along and he's like, I'm way better than that guy, so you got to pay me more than him. And by the way, that's what the market now is. That's the market. That's to create the problem.
Well, competition, we always said competition will help. Let's get AEW in because competition is good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we got competition. Wrestlers can go not only just work in other places.
Okay. But it only becomes a problem, by the way, if they both start bidding that way. My concern is does Tony Khan run it up one-sided and WWE goes, look, man, we love you, but this is what you're worth to us. And they continue just to let guys go because they're like, go. Because at this point, he hasn't proven. He's gotten Edge. He's gotten Bryan Danielson. He had CM Punk for a minute. He's like all these guys that they've gotten, and it hasn't made a ding. It hasn't made a difference. So WWE's probably looking at it going like, dude, we could almost throw it air quotes there, almost throw anybody over there, and it probably wouldn't matter at this point. That could be their logic.
Well, when we look at all the people who have gone from WB to AEW, as far as people who have gone back or gone across from AEW to WWE, Punk and Ethan Page, who else have made any kind of impact, or who else has come back? Or
that made a difference when they came back, or
who have crossed that line?
Which way? I'm confused.
Who have come from who have came from AEW to go to WWE?
That made a difference?
Yeah, or anything. Sean Spears came back.
Cody
came back. Who all we got left?
I mean, I'm saying like the WWE's doing a pretty decent job of resurrecting guys that came back over. Like their track record's pretty decent.
But they've flooded AEW with disgruntled people, or people that they didn't sign in the first place.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it's if Tony Khan hasn't made a difference, then WWE's stance may become like, I get it. Is it bad for your industry? Sure, whatever you may think. But the logic is they may look at them and go, doesn't matter. We're just going to have to. What's going to hurt is WWE's probably going to end up letting some people go they would have chosen to keep, but just not at the number that the market now appears to have created that's what their value is. And they're just not going to see that value in them, so they may just go, yeah, we're just going to have to let you go, man.
The way business decisions are, this is just my opinion, the way business decisions are being made are different. Business decisions are going to be made by a corporation who is going to look at cost, like cost and benefits analysis, like a spreadsheet, and how they're going to do things. And then you're going to be looking at a guy who enjoys wrestling.
Right.
And he does not have to worry about things like this. So WB, I think, won't change as much as Tony Khan does.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I mean, So anyway, let's keep it rolling. Look, we're gonna jump. Speaking of why you want to see the show notes, there's gonna be there's a whole topic I'm about to leapfrog and leave out of the show. Because we are gonna run out of time. So we are gonna jump straight into our weekly topic where we go into Making the Drive, sponsored by jmartinandcompany.com. All your window cleaning, pressure washing, all your gutter cleaning, all that good stuff, whether it's residential, commercial, does not matter. jmartinandcompany.com. I always say give them a message over on Facebook. It's the easiest place to get a hold of them, man. So, again.
The big hose himself. You think we'll see him Friday?
Maybe. Yeah, we're going to be in Canton, so potentially. So maybe. So it could happen. So speaking of which, that's where we're going to be this Friday. So we're going to talk about like the first show out of the gate this Friday in Canton. Southern Honor is back in the action building there. Literally, this is the the lead-in show to Still Here. The anniversary show is the next one. And look, Carly Bravo wins the Rumble Jack. Carly Bravo is going to announce he can challenge for any title he so chooses, and therefore he will make his announcement this Friday right there in the action building. And many other things are going down, man. It's not just that. Gary Lamb is going to come face to face with the Exotic Truth. This thing has to, be, at some point. Endgame's going to discuss, Still Here. Matt Griffin's going to be in the house. He's going to address it. There'll be a lot of talking. A lot of jaw jacking. But look, lots of wrestling and stuff as well. You're going to have Big Ben Bishop, Murder One, Alexander Lev, Kyle Matthews, Zicky Dice, Colby Carino, Sal Renaro, and just a ton more there on the card. All of the usual suspects and some new faces that you haven't seen in a while.
How about my boy Seabolt getting a match from Murder One? That is great. I can't wait to see that.
Is it really good for him? Is that really a smart move?
Yeah, man. He's working his way up. He's killing it. That's the next step. Is he's had matches with younger talent. Now he's going to go against one of the old heads. It's good for him. Can't wait to see this.
I don't know that he's brave. He's brave. Maybe he's braver than he is smart challenging Murder One. But look, I'm excited to see what happens with Carly Bravo. That should be a blast. And look, after everything that happened at Rumble Jack, Gary Lamb needs to have his head on a swivel when he's in there, because I don't know that I particularly trust, Cornelius Pepperbottom or Zach Mosley for that matter. So Gary Lamb better come with either have his head on a swivel or have some friends by his side. That's all I'm going to say. So that's the big show again this Friday. Action building, Canton, Georgia. Not the only show. I mean, there's a couple.
No, man, this is another packed week, another super packed week. Classic City in Athens. This is something I'm going to be getting to one day soon, since my daughter is up there. The famous 40 Watt Club. Nick, tell us something about this show.
Well, look, I will tell you, if you're planning on hitting them up there, you better do it this one, because this is their last show in Athens for a little bit at the 40 Watt. They'll be still running their other ones, but this is the last one. I think probably with football season running everything, it's probably, kind of part of the plan. Alex Kane versus Sean Legacy is probably the highlight of the card in my opinion.
Definitely.
I'm not saying they're I'm saying that's just kind of your show, that everybody's kind of there to see. How about these two beasts, Austin Towers versus The Wall?
Yep.
The Wall, kudos to this kid. He has leaps and bounds jumped from where we first saw him. And that's not an insult. That's a compliment to how far he's come along.
Yes.
And, going against the other big man there, Austin Towers, that should be a blast. I never looked. When I saw Rico Gonzalez and Cody Fluffman as a team, my head spun around like, what?
Should be interesting.
You know what it'll be? It'll be entertaining as hell is what it'll be.
So in Naja, too. I mean, I'm not familiar with this DJ Smoke, but Naja, Rico, and Fluffman are all entertaining as hell. So
yep. We're also going to have the Creeps, Matt Sells, and Sean Sims, and Quattro. I'm sorry, Creeps. Easy for me to say. The Creeps and Matt Sells versus Sean Sims, Quattro Cabezas. Is that his name? And then a new member to his group. That'll be anytime by the way, Matt Sells, check, entertaining.
Yes.
In a bar, check, double entertaining. In a triple, like a 6-man tag, check. dude, yeah, absolutely a blast.
And the creeps, very solid people. They're hitting a bunch of shows lately. I'm becoming secret friends of the Northside Heroes. With versus Top Team and Spectre and Trevor Eon. Northside are a very impressive tag team. They work very well together.
They are, and they've been hitting the road. We've seen them at a lot of promotions. We
Yep.
actually have seen them in person now. The funny thing is, I've seen them a decent amount of matches now, but it's kind of like at different promotions as we're on the road making these drives that we're seeing them. So it's kind of interesting. So again, check out Classic City this Friday in Athens at the 40 Watt Club, because like I said, they posted the other day, this is their last Athens show for a little while.
Oh,
probably during football season, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and Jazzy Yang is going to be back from Puerto Rico. Going to be on this card.
Yep.
Great pictures that Jimmy Wang Yang was posting from Puerto Rico. Looked like they had a good thing going down there. Still down there. But I'm jealous of Heath. I can't be in two places at one time because SCA's got the dynamite on Friday night, man. Heath Slater versus Tower, and a ton of familiar and new faces coming back for this show, man. The show favorite, Justin Sane versus the Savage. I don't know the Savage. Does he know the Savage?
Oh, yeah, man.
What's Justin Sane told you about
feud.
the Savage?
Well, Justin Sane hasn't told me anything. That dude's crazy. I don't know what his face. But Justin Sane versus the Savage, hands down going to be the big one. Of course, Tower is your champion there. They brought Heath Slater in to basically try to dethrone him and end his reign there. So time will tell. The other big one that secretly, a lot of people are maybe sleeping on, Christian Taylor versus Luke Da Silva has been a feud that has been going now for months. We're hoping Christian Taylor ends this thing now. We get we get an end of this. But look, Jacob Ashworth, unrated, Boulevard, at Chop Top, Kyle Phillips, a lot more talents on the name. But I know, like I said, the big draw there, everybody's looking, is Heath Slater going to end Tower's reign there in SCA?
I really love this card. Ashworth, huge draw, very popular in his hometown. James Boulevard, super cool guy. Unrated is somebody, don't sleep on those two guys. Christian Taylor, big show favorite here. Luke Da Silva is a super great guy also. So there's so much talent on this card. Really wish I could be in two places at one time. And on top of that, they got a show in Tennessee for one of our local promotions. Tell us all about that.
So, yeah, SCI is running this Saturday in Sale Creek, Tennessee. It's a big show they've got on there. Nick, you don't talk typically about Tennessee shows. What's up with that? Well, what's up with that is one called Manders is defending that Action title, the Action Wrestling Heavyweight Championship there, versus Adam Priest at this show. So we were kind of like, hey, look, Adam Priest is a stud. I happened to see him wrestle QT Marshall at Turnbuckle last weekend. Great match. So one called Manders has been a solid champion. By the way, defending it quite often, which is kudos to this guy for being out there on the road at multiple places and defending it. So that'll be a good one. And then some other people that we're kind of familiar with, the Good Hand there, Shug D's group out of Action. They're kind of all together going up against, the Covenant of the Goat, Nathan, Tank, and all those guys up there, which is interesting.
Tank is somebody who I have so much respect for. And Nathan, hats off. That guy's so cool. Such a nice guy.
He's crazy sumbitch in the ring.
But he's fucking insane, Nick. Bleeding and all that special of
and the fire and all that. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, get those damn light bulbs away from me, Nathan.
Another team that I'm a huge fan of, and here's the thing, a lot of people in Georgia kind of aren't so familiar with them. We've seen them at Disruptor. We saw them work Action, so that's kind of probably why they're on this card. Ella Envy and BK Westbrook are going to take on Rachel Armstrong and Jamison Shook. That'll be a good one. And, of course, Fluffman's going to be on the card. So you're going to be – look, anytime you see Cody Fluffman on the card, you're going to be entertained. It's really that simple, folks.
And he's a damn good wrestler, too. Yeah. People miss out that people look at him for entertainment, and they don't realize he's a phenomenal wrestler on top of it.
Yeah, I told somebody that he's a work rate guy, and they kind of looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, no. Actually, see him work. Dude can work. Yep. So – but look, then on Saturday, right down, in Buchanan, Georgia, at the Callaway Livestock Pavilion, this is kind of cool. Like I kind of thought this, like I kind of enlightened you a little bit. Because
Yeah,
I'm
that
old.
was a
I'm an
really
old.
cool bit of information you told me. Yeah, share it with the fans.
So Pretty Boy Doug Summers, the Memorial Tag Team Tournament, that's what's going down this weekend, Saturday, in Buchanan. And you were kind of like, look, because you're an Alabama guy. You didn't get a lot of the AWA stuff, so you weren't super familiar with Doug Summers. And I'm like, no. Like him and the Playboy Buddy, like they were a tag team, and it was kind of like a thing with the Rockers. And you're like, oh. And I was like, Sensational Sherry was with them. You're like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, it's like an AWA thing, and it's kind of like an old school. So like, tip your cap to Premier All Star for kind of going in the Wayback Machine there to pay homage to Doug Summers and in this Memorial Tag Team Tournament. And some pretty cool teams in it, like Brother Azrael and Papa Marco are going to wrestle Payne and Gaines in the first round. But here's the question. First round bye for Murder 1 and Joe Black. Given the first round bye and given who they are and the talents of said team, I on one hand go like, hey, they got to be your favorites, right?
I've looked at the rest of the show. It's hard to say because there is an insane amount of talent. Okay, you've got NWA signee Alexander Lev and Grayson Pierce as the Faithful. You've got the Exotic Youth on this. Aaron Dallas, and AJ Black are a tag team now. There's so much going on. Donald Jakes Ministries. I've got some stuff on Donald Jakes I need to talk about later. Learned a couple of things last night. Frankie Valentine and J Rod, Sean Nelson and Stevie Ray Frost. Is there anybody I've missed that's on this card, Nick?
Well, there's going to be more stuff but here's my question. Here's the thing. The only reason I come back to Murder and Joe have to be your odds-on favorites. Look, I think the Exotic Youth is as talented as anybody and probably one of, if not the top teams in Georgia, right? That's it's a given. The problem is you have a super talented team like Murder and Joe, and they also have to wrestle one less match because they have that bye. It's one less match that you have to wrestle to win this thing. That's to me why you're the odds-on favorite. Is literally one less match. I would always take my chances. If it was two bums that had a first round bye, that's another argument. But we're talking about Murder 1 and Joe Black, so we're not.
Experienced team.
Yeah.
Very experienced team. So you've got a point there. Apparently Donald Jakes and Josh, since we're talking about Murder 1, Josh Wheeler of AWE have been feuding. Because, when it was Southern States, it was family friendly that they were running, very family show. And so now that they're back to AWE and it's a little bit more adult oriented, Pastor Jakes has been very unhappy. So there's been a lot of talk back and forth, a lot of bickering. I'm going to be following this in the future. I think the world of Pastor Jakes. Someone who has improved his talent and work so much over the last year. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers, people.
You're really a fan of Donald Jakes. Come on.
Yeah, big fan of Donald Jakes.
Okay.
I'm on his prayer list.
All right.
I'm a deacon. I send a weekly check, mail it directly to Donald Jakes Ministries.
All right. If you say so. No, I whatever, man. Look, I tell you who I'm a fan of, and that is Southern Fried. And they're, of course, this Saturday in Monroe. It's a big show, and it's a major show for a lot of reasons. The big one being the return of the King, CT Keys, the Southern Fried champions, back after that. Look, he's recovered, I'm hoping, after that brutal attack by Jeter. So we will see. I got a 5. He's going to have something to say about Jeter.
Jeter's still one of my all-time favorite Georgia wrestlers because he is intimidating. He's a badass. Probably the only person in Georgia that can out-chop Satnam Singh. Okay? I'd put them in the chopping contest. Jeter's probably one of the more intelligent people I've ever spoke to. CT Keys returning, that's going to be a big deal. I think Jeter still has the belt, doesn't he?
No, he gave it back at the last show.
He gave it back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I saw that. I couldn't remember. But man, Todd and Judias versus the Approved for the tag team belts. Todd and Judias. God, I love watching that tag team work together.
Technical Destruction versus the Approved. Nick Halen, Adrian Hawkins. Should be a blast. Look, he wants that one last match. Todd does with Judias. We got to be heading to that road at some point. But hey, let's capture some gold along the way because but it's going to be a tall tale. It's going to be a tall task, to defeat Halen and Hawkins as long as they've been around each other. Those cagey guys, and we found that out at the last show, by the way. They'll always find a way by hook or by crook to win.
Did you see that Hardy Boys cosplay? Mm-hmm. You were talking. That's right. You were talking about it. Yeah. Holy crap, dude! How do they walk around in those pants? By the way,
you could ask him in person. I don't.
I do good to get around in shorts, and they're walking around. They call them Junkos or Junko? I don't know. I can't say a lot of words.
Yeah. But look, Billy Buck and Narcissism, they're going to pick up their best.
That's good stuff.
Their best of series for that Classics title. It'll be the first match of the series. That should be spectacular. Sometimes those can be challenging, so it's going to be entertaining to watch how they ride this best of 3 out. Yes. There's a couple things. Look, there's going to be a bunch of people on the show. The next one I really wanted to talk about, they're having a number 1 contender rapid fire gauntlet. And it's Will Caution, Zach Buchanan, Jacob Ashworth, Teo, Sal Renaro, and Rob Adonis. So anybody in that mix I could see, but if you're the number 1 contender for that title, I'm looking at that list and I'm like, man, how about can we get our boy Sal? Get that, hey, it's his time, man. Let him have a run at that thing. That's just my take.
Sal is amazing. Okay, Sal, I can't ever argue with anything Sal does. If you want to put a belt on Sal, I'm not going to say no. Love that guy. We got Ashworth in this match, and we got Koloff also on the card. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to have to watch my back during a rapid fire gauntlet. I'm not going to predict anybody for this because these are some of your most popular wrestlers and most hated wrestlers in your entire show.
Yeah.
I mean, that Zach Buchanan kid, what did Jesus Christ.
Strap the rocket to him. We've had that conversation. Yeah. Strap the rocket to him. Don't be surprised, right? But
if you can keep the women away from him and keep him out of trouble, he'll probably be the next WB champion.
Speaking of trouble, let's go ahead and address Monday night in Watkinsville at South Main Brewing. The Monday Nightmare show happens. They are going to crown some tag team champions there, folks. So come out and see the first ever tag team champions. But look, obviously the conversation leans into Jack Jameson. Look, he's talked in my personal direction. It is what it is. I love him.
About you.
Yeah. Look, I like the kid despite his misdirected passions. I really do. Kudos, man. Look, do you, man? You're crushing it on Ring of Honor. I would probably focus more on the guys across the ring than me. That's just my opinion. I'm just doing a podcast, dude. Just, keep winning those W's and we'll keep putting you over. But the problem is if you draw too much attention to yourself and you lose, it's a bad day at the office. But if you're a fan, it's not a bad day at the office. You're going to see Luke Sampson, Warden, Parker Lee, Jimmy Wild, Hayden Herrera, lots of those names. The Monday Nightmare shows are great because it's kind of like a turnbuckle thing where you don't know who's going to show up. Sometimes there's a surprise or two in the mix. But look, there's lots of guys on that card that I tell people keep an eye out for, and especially if a young Brady Booker shows up. I'm a massive Brady Booker guy, so kudos and
Oh, phenomenal guy. You spent some time talking, and I spent some time listening to you talk to him the other night over at the Turnbuckle show, which I can't say enough about these Turnbuckle shows. I do enjoy them so much. And then they got a show coming up in Athens on Thursday.
Turnbuckle, yeah.
Yeah, and then they got how do they run so much? I'm looking forward to this Athens show. I may actually get a chance to get up there for that, man. Thursday the 12th?
I think it's the 12th, yeah, something like that. It's Thursday, Athens, right there in Cali and Tito's. They've kind of got like a regular kind of schedule there now. So if you're in Athens, it's on a Thursday. You can get out, so it's not interfering with your football and all that kind of stuff. But look, the thing is like right there in Athens, you'll be able to see guys like QT Marshall, Brady Booker, Varia Morales, and Angelica Risk, Robin Renegade. But like, look, we talked about Satnam showing up at Buford, like not advertised, just showing up. That's again, it sounds like a broken record, but it's a fact. Turnbuckle's draw is you just never know who's going to show up there. You could be, I mean, you're like, hey, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Glacier, Ray Lloyd comes rolling out, or oh, it's Satnam Singh, or oh, and I've heard other names, and I don't want to give them away. But look, they're doing like that the 13th, that Friday, which we'll talk about it next week. Darby Allin's going to be in Buford for a meet and greet. So again, Turnbuckle, the best advice I can give you, just like all these promotions, give them a follow on their social media, give them a follow on Facebook, whatever, so you can keep up with their schedule and you'll always know where they're going to be. That's the biggest thing of anything, right?
I tell you, the hardest part, man, is trying to straighten out all of these shows and keep track of who's running what. We keep a calendar. We keep trying to get this, but where's the best way to find out, Nick, how to get to these shows? Who's running shows? Where do you find this information?
Look, I'm a social media guy, but look, I've tried to do better. The hardest part is, look, if you're a Patreon member, at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, look, Phil Stamper does a great list that he puts up, and I put it on there. I try to do it on YouTube, but here's the problem. YouTube limits the number of characters, so it ends up being literally like 4 posts. So what I have been doing is trying to put a link to the Patreon page, so you're probably better off just to do even if you're a YouTube member, do the free membership on Patreon just to get that list. And I do share that list on social media as well, by the way. But while you're on tappedoutpod.com, our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff, become a member, get the shows early. Like, hey, we drop this thing on Wednesday. It doesn't come out till Thursday if you're not a paid member. Same thing on our Patreon page. It's audio visual because, look, Myron, we've talked about it ad nauseum. YouTube is our home.
Yes.
Your Spotify takes the feed from our Patreon feed, so kudos on them. YouTube Music picks it up because of that, and I gave you the directions on how to put it in your Apple feed if you want to. That's it. So youtube.com, it used to be the thing. No, I'm like, no, dude, I made it simple before we made the move. Tappedoutpod.com. That's why we made the move. It'll take you straight to our YouTube channel, and you can sign up, man. That easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, man, that's a lot to cover. Do you have anything else before we bail out of here this week?
No. I think I've got everything I want to say in. I am once again happy with the state of professional wrestling, both nationally, worldwide, and in the great state of Georgia. Have you got anything you've been wanting to talk about?
Look, check us out. Friday, Southern Honor. Saturday, Southern Fried. Heath will be at the SCA show, reportedly, as of today. He will be at the SCA show on Friday. And then Monday, I know I will be. I haven't committed everybody else yet, but Monday, I will be at the Monday Nightmare show there in Athens, or in Watkinsville, sorry. I'll be at that show. So lots of shows in this upcoming weekend. So it's going to be wild. So come out and say hey to us, man.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Look for 2 large men in black T-shirts. We stand out in crowds at wrestling shows.
That we do. Well, man, if that's all you have, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.